Many people are becoming obsessed with the country because of its cutting-edge technology, trendy food, the biggest pop bands in the world, and some of the most exciting movies and TV shows being made anywhere. All of this is in a country that isn't much bigger than Ireland, but it has a long history and a lot of natural beauty. This makes it one of the best places to visit on the planet. Read on for tips to make your trip to South Korea even easier. Here's everything you need to know before you go. First, time your visit with the trees. Mind these two major holidays and use common sense and keep these numbers handy just in case. We suggest that you plan your trip to South Korea for the spring or fall when the weather is most pleasant. Plus points if you can do it during one of the country's 2 times when trees can do magic. Mid-March is when the cherry blossoms start to bloom on Jeju-do Island, which is off the south coast. They usually start to bloom in Seoul in early April. In late October and early November, the leaves of Korea's many gold ginkgo trees turn into bright golden torches, giving Seoul and other cities a very royal look for a few weeks. During the multi-day Lunar New Year and Chuseok or Fall Harvest holidays, when many Koreans travel, it can be hard to book a bus or train ticket. The dates change every year, so make sure to check before planning a trip. If you have to take a holiday, stay in Seoul or Busan for the whole time. There's still a lot of businesses open, and cities can be surprisingly quiet when everyone leaves. In South Korea, theft and violent crime are not very common. Almost no scams or pickpocketing happen to tourists, and Koreans usually go out of their way to be friendly to visitors. Still, be careful and use common sense as you should everywhere. Don't even think about trying to get around Korea's strict drug laws. A big part of nightlife is drinking a lot, so know how much you can drink before you get into trouble. If you have an emergency, you can call 112 to reach the police, 119 to reach emergency services, or 1330 to reach the Korea Travel Hotline. An operator will put you in touch with the right service and translate for you. You can also call the Korea Tourist Police at that number. Next, be ready to get personal. Monitor the air quality, and the main question travelers ask themselves, is North Korea a concern? Here, people usually greet each other with a quick bow. Nothing fancy, just a deep enough head nod that your eyes meet the floor. But sometimes you'll be offered a handshake instead. If you are, don't expect the old squeeze and pump method. Instead, expect a gentle clasp. Most likely, someone you just met will ask you more personal questions than you're used to. Your age is at the top of the list. This piece of information is very important to Koreans because it tells them how to talk to each other, like how formal their verb ending should be and whether or not to use honorifics. People also often ask about your marital status. What do you do for a living? And what do you think of Korea? Kindly answer the question and feel free to ask it back. Even though North Korea is in the news, South Koreans don't worry about an attack, and you shouldn't either. There aren't many military flights, and civilians aren't in danger even less often. A guided tour of the DMZ can be a very interesting and unique experience that you can't get anywhere else. From a distance, North Korea's oddities can seem almost funny, but when you see South Korean soldiers looking at North Korean soldiers looking at you, you realize how serious the geopolitical situation is. Plus, many tours give you what may be your only chance to visit the most secretive country in the world. Even when there's no COVID, it's a good idea to always carry a mask because the air quality can sometimes get pretty bad. This is especially true in the spring, when dust from the Mongolian and Chinese deserts blow into the area and mixes with pollution to make the air unhealthy. Download an app like IQ Air Air Visual for iOS or Android to find out what the weather's like right now and what the forecast is for the next few days all over the country. Moving on, dressing, language, and staying connected with these essential apps. As a traveler, you can wear whatever makes you feel good and fits the weather. Even though they dress more modestly than you might expect, Koreans are pretty laid back about what they wear. Shorts are fine to wear to a temple, but tank tops and miniskirts are not. At the beach, both men and women usually wear t-shirts, and it's best to leave the Speedo and thong at home. Korean women almost never wear low-cut tops, and if a foreign woman does, she might get some strange looks. Young people now often have tattoos, but some bathhouses still won't let you in if you have one. People under 50 in Korea understand basic English, and most signs are written in both Korean and English. Still, it's good and polite to learn a little bit of the language. Learning Hangul, the Korean alphabet, is like unlocking a secret bonus level of Korean travel. It's more than just learning a few essential Korean words and phrases. If you can sound out the letters, you'll find that you already know what kape moka, bip bim bap, and sauna mean. It's easy to learn Hangul. In the 15th century, King Sejong the Great was in charge of making it. He said that a smart person could learn it before noon and that even a fool could learn it in 10 days. Let's Learn Hangul helps you learn the Korean alphabet in a fun and easy way. In Korean cities, Wi-Fi is so common that you don't need a local local SIM card. However, if you want one just in case, or if you plan to go to rural areas, the easiest place to get one is at one of the many telecom roaming centers at Incheon Airport. If you didn't bring your own phone, you can also rent one. Some helpful apps to download are Naver Map, iOS and Android, which works better than Google Maps in South Korea; Mango Plate, iOS and Android, for finding restaurants and cafes; Subway Korea, iOS and Android, for navigating metro systems; and Kakao T, iOS and Android, which is like Uber but for taxis. Next up, take advantage of Korea's world-class public transportation. Also, roll with the nudges. The subways, trains, and buses in Korea are all clean, easy to use, and quick. It seems like a new subway station opens in Seoul every month, and you can get to every part of the country by train or intercity bus. Bus and subway fares in Seoul start at just $12.50, which is not very much. Jeju-do is the only place in South Korea where it might make sense to rent a car, and even there it's probably not necessary. Public transportation in Korea is easy to use because there's a lot of information in English, and the system is well thought out. Start by getting a T-Money transit card from a convenience store or a vending machine in any subway station. You can put money on your card at different kiosks. Tap your card both when you get on the subway or bus and when you get off. Fares are based on how far you travel, so if you don't tap when you get off, you'll be charged more and won't be able to switch for free. Most taxis also accept T-Money cards. Intercity bus and train tickets are easy to get at stations. For the fast KTX train and some of the most popular routes and times, like leaving Seoul on a Saturday morning, it's best to buy tickets ahead of time. Bus stations usually have plenty of machines and counters where you can buy bus tickets. The National Railway Company, Korail, has a website where you can buy tickets for trains. Koreans are always in a hurry, and they live in a country with a lot of people, so don't expect them to have the same sense of personal space or public manners as people in your country. Koreans won't hold doors for you or apologize if they bump into you while walking. People usually won't say "excuse me" when getting on or off the subway. Instead, they'll just push you out of the way. But they aren't being rude. When you live in a crowded city like Seoul, it's not practical to say sorry every time you bump into someone. You'd be saying sorry all the time. This can drive outsiders crazy, but you should just accept it and go with the flow. Finally, diet. Also, recognize that LGBTQI+ acceptance still has a long way to go. In Korea, eating is a social activity, so many restaurants, especially barbecue places, don't serve single portions. So if you're traveling alone, you might have to drag someone from your hostel with you, which won't be hard, or loosen your belt and order pork belly for two, you poor thing. Waiters won't come over to check on you at a restaurant, and most places have call buttons on each table. Give it a push and someone will be right there. If not, raise your hand and shout "Yogio," which means over here, to get the attention of the waitstaff. Usually, you can get your own water, and sometimes you can get your own side dishes too. If your server doesn't bring you a bottle of water, look for a water fountain and a stack of metal cups. When you're done eating, take your bill to the front desk to pay. There are no tips. If you have food allergies or a special diet, it might be hard to find places to eat or find out what's in their food. Veganism and vegetarianism are becoming more and more popular in Korea, but there aren't many restaurants that cater to these diets. Even dishes that seem to be vegetarian are often made with anchovy broth or shrimp that has been fermented. Even though attitudes are slowly changing, Korea is still very conservative in many ways, and prejudice against LGBTQI+ people is common. Still, LGBTQI+ travelers are more likely to be asked questions, even if the questions are wrong, than to be treated badly. Most people don't like it when couples show affection in public, even if they're not gay. Itaewon and Jongno 3-ga are two small gay neighborhoods in Seoul. The Hongdae Sinchon Ewha University corridor is another place where LGBTQI+ Koreans can be themselves. Unfortunately, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Until next time, cheers!